Ron Van Dam likes to treat every listener as someone with whom he is having an intimate, personal relationship. Although no money changes hands, there are fewer sticky bodily fluids, about half as many apologies, and he probably won't have to get rid of your body in the long run. Other than that, it's a pretty standard relationship for Ron. You're listening to The Ron Van Dam Show.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night. It's the Ron Van Dam Show.
Okay, whatever.
Hold on tight, things can get a bit weird, if you like that sort of thing.
Hey, welcome to the program. It is the Ron Van Dam Show. Guess which one I am? It's a pleasure to be with you on this fine day, right? Yeah? No? Okay, whatever. Oh, God, huh? Yeah, I sat down yesterday to get my taxes organized. Oh, my God. You know what doing your taxes is? It's a review of your prior year and your life. It's a very strange feeling to go through all your stuff that took place exactly from like January to December of last year. It's a review. I can't tell you how many times I sat there and I said, I paid that much money? It's whoa. Whoa. It's a good time to review your life and realize I don't have enough money to live. But on a positive note, isn't it fun? Okay, good. I sit there with a calculator and I try to figure out life itself is what I'm doing. It's a fascinating experience. I don't do my taxes myself because I don't have a death wish. Doing your taxes yourself is very depressing. It's, oh God, is this what really happened? It's depressing. Most people are not happy with finances. They create a budget. They don't know what a budget is. Nobody creates a budget. Give me a break. Maybe the government does. Or maybe a business does. But personally, nobody does a budget. Who are you trying to kid? And when you listen to the experts, you know what you have to do in your personal life is create a budget. What you have to do is go somewhere and shut up. No one creates a budget. No one was walking through a store and says, whoa, isn't that a lovely chair? I really need that. I don't have a chair, but it's not in my budget. Nobody does that. Nobody does that. The hell's a budget? Budget is the stuff you should do, but you don't. Who wants to know what they should do? That's ridiculous. That's no way to live. Budget. Anyway, I don't do my own taxes. I don't do my own taxes. I'm diverse in the sense that I'm a member of Ancestry.com. I don't know how that happened. I don't know. I think someone gave me that as a gift. Yeah, I'm sure it is. And it tells me every couple of months how diverse I am. I started out being basically Italian, and then within about 2 years, I had dropped to only 10%. Apparently, my nationality changes consistently. It depends on how many people join the thing, and then that changes me completely. It does. Ron, you know, you're 40% Lithuanian, you're 20% Italian, you're 3% French. You got a little bit of vinegar in there. Yeah. I'm not into the ancestry thing. But anyway, yeah, that's the problem. That's the problem. So don't do my own taxes is what I'm trying to say. I hire a person to take all my crap and figure it out. And there is not a better dollar, it's not in my budget, but it's not a better dollar spent to sit there and review myself financially for 12 months of my life is a depressing, ridiculous thing. And why I have to do it is simply because of the government. I have to do it because of the government. Other than that, I wouldn't be doing this. So now there's a lovely young lady named Michelle, and she does my taxes. She does me. So yesterday I went to her. Actually, she's with a company called HR Block. I don't know if it's HR Block or H&R Block. I don't know who HR is. I don't know if Block is the guy or H&R are two people who live on the same block. I don't know how that goes. I don't know if there was a Mr. Block. Maybe it's Mr. and Mrs. Block. I don't know. Do you know the Blocks? No, I don't. They live down the street, the Blocks. They do taxes. So Michelle works at HR, H&R. I have no idea. At the Block place. So I go there and I arrive with my shoe box. Are there shoes in it? God, no. They're filled with papers, income, bank statements, such as it is, everything, and everything. And it's prescriptions and receipts and lettuce and mayonnaise. Everything's in that shoebox. My entire prior year is in that shoebox. My entire being, my reason for living is in that shoebox. But I don't give her the shoebox because that would be ridiculous. I'd be paying through the nose, and I don't know how you do that through the nostrils. I'm not sure how physically that saying. But I've been paying through the nose. I don't understand what you just said. Why are you taking a body part and making it part of this? I don't understand. We do that with body parts. We take body parts. I got a lot on my shoulders. I'm paying through the nose. I'm glad I got that off my chest. I don't know. Anyway, so I give. I have a couple of pages, a summary of stuff, because I do go through it myself. You have to, and you should, and you have to. So I give her the stuff, and Michelle looks at me, and I think what she's in her eyes, she's basically saying, "Good to see you, Ron. I see you once a year. Good to see you." But I think in her head she's going, "This poor schmuck is going to get slammed." I have a feeling she's thinking that. She says, it'll take me a couple of weeks to finish this, which means it'll take me a long time to go through your crap. And I said, Michelle, I have a feeling that I'll be paying a lot more this year in taxes. And she didn't say anything. Oh, my God. When people don't say anything, they just like smile a little bit. You know you're screwed. You know it for a fact. There's no two ways of looking at it. She didn't respond. She didn't say, like, we'll see, or I don't think it'll be so bad. It's okay, Ron. Nothing. She didn't say anything. That means, yeah, I'm screwed. I don't know. Anyway. Depressing time of year. It really is. But this is the way governments work. I mean, this is how we pay for things. I mean, I get it. I understand it. I just don't like it. April is supposed to be the springtime, looking forward to springtime. To me, it's like, okay, how much money do I have to dish out now? It's been decades since I've received any money back from the government. I don't mind the government. I get how it works. I get the thesis of it with this tax thing. I get it. I mean, when the roads are really nice, okay, my taxes, I've been paying for something. When the roads are crummy and there's potholes, well, those bastards, what are they doing with? They're probably in Aruba right now having some cocktails with my money. I get it. I understand how it works. I get it all. I get it. I just don't like it. You know, New Hampshire and Florida and some other states, they don't have state income tax. You know, they don't have state taxes. I don't know how they stay afloat, but somehow they do. I think their property taxes are higher or something. I mean, they got to get money from somewhere. Maybe it's illegal gambling. Maybe it's from slotomania. You familiar with slotomania? It's an online betting thing. I wonder how many times people say slutomania by mistake. I think all the time. I know I would. I don't gamble. Things are bad enough when I don't. It's not like I take my money and say, here, throw this in the toilet. I can't do that. But Ron, if you bet, you could get money back. You could, but you don't. This slogan of the lotteries is usually you can't win if you don't play. Well, you can lose if you do play. You can't lose if you don't play. So there's all kinds of ways to twist that one around. So no. So I sit here on bated breath, again, a body part kind of thing, waiting for Michelle to call me back like in a week or two and say, Ron, your results have come in. They've come back from the lab and it doesn't look good. I mean, that's basically, it's like getting a biopsy. It's just doing my taxes. I don't know. I know some people who do their taxes and they actually get money back from the government. First of all, I don't really like giving money to the government and then having them give me some back. I mean, what are we doing here? Let's save the middleman, and how about if I just don't pay you at all? Why would I give you money and then you give me money back? What do you do? Are you investing my money during the year and making money off of it and then giving me some back? I mean, what are you doing? So I'm not into that, man. I'm not into that phase of it. How many dependents do you claim, Ron? I don't even know what that means. It depends how many dependents I have. Here's one thing about paying taxes that really bothers me, and listen to me very, very carefully. Most of us have pets who are family members. Don't argue with me. Pets are family members. Don't argue. In the eyes of the law and of the government, pets are not family members. They're not dependents. Why not? Why not? I spend money on my pets. I spend money on a living thing. It's not on a couch. I haven't bet the money away. It's a living thing that I am taking care of, a breathing, living thing. Why is it not a dependent? Okay, if that's a far stretch, then when I go to the vet or I have pet insurance for my pet, that's how much I love my dog. I have pet insurance for my dog. Health insurance, your premiums are deductible, but the premiums for your dog's health insurance are not. Stuff for your dog is not deductible in the eyes of the government. It's time we change that immediately. It is. You can't have this save the pets, save the animals thing going on, and then at the same time saying, well, if you do, that's on you. No, it is on me, but can't you forgive me a little bit? I don't know where to go with this, to be honest with you. I just don't think that's proper. I mean, if you're actually taking in an orphan dog, I mean, you should be able to deduct the stuff for it. If you can do it for a human, you should be able to do it for a pet, if you can prove that the pet has lived with you for the entire year. Or you gave birth to it yourself. I think we're one step away from a woman giving birth to a dog. I think we're one step away. Because indeed, that's actually what's happening here. Okay. I have an interesting guest today. He's an author, I do believe. I'm not sure. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. but I believe he's an author. He's going to join us right after this.
I wanted to learn more about who I am and where I come from. You know, my family history.
I've always been curious about my genetic background. What makes me, me?
I needed to know myself better, and now I do, thanks to Who Is I?
Who Is I is the genetic ancestry testing kit you can use right in your own home. Using state-of-the-art technology from 30 years ago, Who Is I's patent-pending genetic testing protocols have been proven to be 96% accurate in up to 14% of tests, with a highly acceptable 7 to 10% margin of error. In today's market, there is no other ancestry test this accurate that's also called Who Is I.
My Who Is I test told me that I'm 79% Italian, 12% Tasmanian, and 6% Oldsmobile. It was so easy.
Who Is I says I'm 18% New Jerseyan, 42% French toast, and 16% unidentifiable goo. That's so good to know.
With one simple nasal swab test, plus a fingernail, elbow skin, half ounce of toe sweat, quarter pint of blood or mucus, and 3 drops of fluid from your left eye, Who Is I maps your genetic markers as accurately as a slightly out-of-date road atlas.
I had suspected for a long time that I'm descended from the lizard people of planet Zargon. Now, thanks to Who Is I know I'm actually from Flugamir 7 in the Andromeda system. Plus, I'm 3% Arapaho and 6% slightly used paper products.
Your Who Is I results will tell you not just about yourself, but your whole family tree as well, with just one simple test.
I always wondered about my ancestors. Now I know that my great-great-grandfather was a bicycle tire. Thanks, Who Is I?
Who Is I Home Genetic Ancestry Testing. It's time to get to know yourself better.
David Brown joins us now. He's a celebrated author and a lifelong military man for the British Army, well decorated as well. And he joins us from what town are you in?
Well, I'm in a town called Calpe in Spain.
Excellent, excellent. Is that where you live now?
Yeah, I've lived here for 25 years.
Oh my
now.
goodness. Okay, all right, fine. Well, pleasure having you here, and thank you for making the trip, actually, all the way over here in the Boston area. Okay, you spent a lot of time in the military and with some quite interesting stories, and I guess you tell them through the guise of some fictional characters. Is that correct?
Yes, the fictional character is called Bomber Brown.
Uh-huh.
Anybody in the British Army at my time called Brown was always nicknamed Bomber, just as anybody called White was called Chalky.
I see.
So we had these nicknames, yeah. And yeah, I joined the British Army when I was 15, and
wow.
I served 40 years.
My goodness. Wow. Looking back at your entire career, was it worth it? I guess I will ask.
I think so. I worked my way up through the ranks and eventually got a commission as an officer. And really, I didn't want to do anything else but serve in the army. But I guess when I got to 40 years, I was definitely ready to leave.
That's about it. So at the age of 15, David, what prompted you to join the British Army at that age?
Well, I think probably a number of things. I didn't have a great education, and in those days in England, you got kicked out of school at 15 unless you were going to college, which I didn't qualify for, and the number of jobs that were available to do were pathetic and pretty demeaning in my eyes. So a small group of us, thought, let's join the army and see if we can make a career of it, which we did.
Wow. In that time, in all those decades, you actually fought battles, hand-to-hand combat. I mean, this was real military, wasn't it?
Oh yes. In my time in the British Army, I don't think there was 1 year where we weren't involved in some conflict or other.
Wow.
I mean, when I finished at 15, they didn't allow you to go into combat, but you got 2 years very, very good training and education. And then at 17, I was whisked off to the Middle East to a place that's now called Yemen. And I was involved for 2 years with conflict there.
David, I'm going to, before we get into your writings, which are incredible, I wanted to ask you, in having that type of extreme face-to-face combat violence, where do you sit now, having been retired? Did it affect you in any way? Basically, you were a killer, but that was what was, that if someone's coming at you, you go at them.
Yeah.
Where do you sit with that concept now?
Well, I think a lot of, in fact, I think most soldiers in some way or another who have been in those situations suffered from some sort of post-traumatic stress. Mm-hmm. I think I was lucky in some ways that I had my mountaineering to fall back on, which I found was a great relief. Once I was out in the mountains and climbing, nothing else mattered. So my mind became uncluttered, and I didn't get bothered with the thoughts that you have when you don't have anything else to divert the mind.
Yes.
So I think most soldiers have some form of post-traumatic stress, even if it's just what I call survivor's guilt. When other people have been killed or seriously injured and you get away scot-free, there is always this element of guilt in your mind. How come I didn't get killed or wounded?
Right. A lot of this time, as I remember in history, there was quite a conflict with Northern Ireland. You were involved in those quote-unquote visitations?
And very much so. The recent violence, because it's been going on since the 1920s in some form or other, the recent violence was very much situated around the Northern Ireland 6 counties that remain part of the United Kingdom as opposed to becoming independent with the rest of Ireland. And in 1969, the civil unrest started and the police lost control, so the government sent the army in. And there was about a 6-week period where both communities, the Catholic and the Protestants, welcomed the army in. We stood in between the two communities.
Wow.
And there was a 6 weeks of real peace, which the politicians should have used to come to some sort of agreement with everybody and really address the grievances of both communities. But they failed in this. But at that point, which is unusual for me, I don't think I could blame the politicians too much because to overcome 300 years of bigotry and hatred, it's quite difficult.
Yeah. Well, speaking of long conflicts, do you serve time in the Middle East as well?
Yeah, in the early days I did. Fortunately for me, I didn't get involved in any of the later ones.
Right.
But the early days was quite an eye-opener. And when I think what we went into combat with there and what people go into combat with these days, we were pretty poorly equipped.
Yeah.
I mean, these days, most of the soldiers had body armor and good helmets and things like that. We had a shirt and a sun hat.
Yeah.
So, it wasn't... and we accepted that as the norm, which it was in those days.
Right. Well, yeah, now conflicts are actually fought through drones and such. And it's very different, very different. So you decided, I assume, after you retired, that you were going to bring this all to the public through a series of writings.
Yes, I started quite late. When I was about 70 when I started writing. I wrote the first book, which I was a bit naive and not very well done. But the second book, Hard Rain, which is the one I'm promoting at the moment, covers the period in Northern Ireland from 1969 to about 1972, which were probably 2 of the most violent years in the whole conflict. And I started putting it together. I never thought about writing or telling anybody about my experiences. So I based the book on my experiences and stories heard and told, and of course my imagination when I created the character Bomber Brown.
Yes. Why did you make it a fiction as opposed to a memoir?
Well, that's the difficult thing. When you leave the army, you have to sign a thing called the Official Secrets Act. So if I made it factual and put all the things in that I thought or heard of or did, that might be a problem. So it has to be, in theory, historical military fiction.
Wow. Does it give you an opportunity
Keeps me out of trouble.
You keep you out of trouble, and then some. Are there embellishments, or is it pretty much straight the way this would have actually happened?
Well, there are, of course, there's embellishments. As a writer,
You're a writer.
you want to make it entertaining.
Yes.
Well, you want to make it entertaining,
Yeah.
and the book is quite punchy, and there's plenty of action all the way through. I think unlike some writers who perhaps haven't experienced things, they write on one piece of action, they build the plot and everything around it, whereas in Hard Rain, it's almost the ongoing life of a regular soldier in the security forces in Northern Ireland at the time, except Bomber does get dragged into the darker side of the conflict, which he finds extremely hard to get out of. And in the second book of the series in Northern Ireland, The Darkness, he gets pulled in even more. And this is what happened to many soldiers.
I've read that why your books are so fascinating and involving is because it's like you were actually there, and you were. Many people who write war stories, quote unquote, they weren't there, or to the intensity of what they were in the book, but yours are very in there.
Well, yes, I think so, and I've tried to do, and I think I emphasized it in writing Bomber's Lament, which is on the back cover of Hard Rain, and it describes what's happening, what you're doing, and the emotions and how you're feeling and how you cope with it. And by doing it on a day-to-day basis, I think that makes it more real, and hopefully the readers will understand, especially the central character, the emotions he's going through in the work that he's doing.
Yeah. Philosophically, what you're doing is interesting as well. I make it a theme on this program over the decades, with my disappointment in humanity, wondering why the human race never really got it right, where if there's any evil, that seems to screw everything up for everybody. And I have a feeling you went through that too, wondering like why are things so violent and so wrong.
Yes, exactly. Why don't we ever learn from anything?
Yes.
Well, I think some things we have learned, and you said a word there which I subscribe to, and I've come to understand through my military career, there is such a thing called evil, and it's inside lots of people, and they've let it take over, and they have no morals about how they achieve their ends and the cost in human life or anything else. And we see that in Ukraine now with Putin, and we see it in North Korea and in some places in Africa at the moment.
Yes.
And unless the good people, stand together and say, no, that's enough, we're not going to allow it to happen, and use their might, then I'm afraid evil will actually take over the whole world.
Yes.
That is a big danger.
It is the theme of life, is it fighting so that evil doesn't take over the world. It's indeed pitiful when you look at it. When you look back, you get older, you look back and you go, whoa, didn't have to be like this, but it did, unfortunately. No. Okay.
Yeah.
The book's fascinating. There's no question about it, and the entire series as well. Is this book released at this time?
Yes, Hard Rain is out, and it's available in the US on Amazon, as it is anywhere else in Europe and the rest of the world.
Yes. Because Amazon has taken over the world. That's what happened.
Yes, they certainly have. But a very useful tool is Amazon.
Yes, there's no question about that. Now, is there some way that people can follow you, website-wise, or anything like that?
Well, I'm one of these people that really come into using computers quite late in life, and I don't actually have a website. I'm at the process at the moment of building a Facebook page.
Good.
Which I dreadfully need help on, which I'm hoping my new wife Linda is going to help me put it together.
Absolutely.
So I will be on Facebook fairly shortly.
Very good.
And people can follow what Bomber especially gets up to on Facebook.
Excellent. And I assume that in that Google machine that they have, that they can also take David Brown and Google that, and the book. The title of the book is Hard Rain, and you'll find them somehow, and you'll be able to get that book. But it's highly recommended, and congratulations on your decorations by the Queen as well.
Thank you very much. It's very kind of you to say so. She was an amazing person.
Yes, yes. Okay, sir, it has been a pleasure for us to talk, and hopefully we'll do that in the near future again.
Thank you, Ron. It's been wonderful talking to you, and I look forward to listening to more of your podcasts.
Great. Thank you so much, my friend. You take care. Well, that'll do it for me today. Thank you to my guest, and thank you to you. I'll be back again tomorrow with another episode. Will you join me then? He said rhetorically. I hope you do. But until that time arrives, I wish you peace.